76 kilogram category, with David Morgan of Wales confident of adding to his medal tally. Tonight he was chasing his 6th gold medal. We can join it in the snatch discipline with Jim Neely.
Damien Brown from Australia with his final lift. He had a successful lift at 137.5 kilograms. He failed at 142.5, and that's what's on the bar. 142.5, 314 pounds, and that's a much better attempt. And Damien Brown is understandably delighted, as his coach. So good stuff by Brown. So his best lift, 142.5. And that puts him into the lead. Here's the man that everybody has waited to see in this 76 kilogram class, the man who's already won Commonwealth gold in 3 games in Brisbane, in Edinburgh and in Auckland. And David Morgan looking to equal that splendid record of the great Precious Mackenzie by winning 4 successive Commonwealth golds. He actually won 3 golds in Auckland, because the first time golds are awarded for the snatch, the clean and jerk, and the total 145 kilograms David Morgan starts off with, and this indeed to equal the Commonwealth record held by Rothwell in Australia.
Racing.
David Morgan has thrown down the gauntlet, hasn't he? Little smiles there from the Welsh corner, and the mighty Morgan has really set this arena buzzing. A little bob of the backside and straight above the head and down. Great confidence he's exuding. What a lift. The second lift for the #1 Canadian, Serge Tremblay, on the bar, 145, and he's made that look pretty easy. And keeps him in silver medal position. So 2 good lifts by Tremblay, 140, and that last one, 140. Here's Tremblay again, lots of speed, little short man, and ideally suited to the snatch discipline. Great technique. David Morgan coming in for his second lift, and this to set a new Commonwealth record for the snatch in the 76 kilogram division. Morgan has moved down from the weight division that he was in Auckland, which was 82.5, which is now really 83 under the new regulations. So this lift for Morgan to put him into gold medal position with a new record. David Morgan of Wales, 3 Commonwealth golds already, favourite for a 4th. And that's why. Well, Morgan lifting as well as ever. Meriden John, the chief Welsh official in terms of weightlifting. He's been around such a long time, and he's watched this young man, well, not such a young man now, but he's watched him go from a teenager to a man in his 31st year, and it's been gold all the way at the Commonwealths. Wonderful technique by Morgan. Look at that, great strength. A little wobble on the left-hand side, which will give him some cause for concern, but strengthen the legs to get up there. The penultimate lift in the snatch discipline in the 76 kilogram class, that's the middleweight men, goes to Canada's Serge Tremblay. He negotiated 140, 145, and he's gone now to 150 because David Morgan has lifted 147.5, but Tremblay has to go higher because he's got a heavier body weight than David Morgan. So he's gone up to 150. This is a new Commonwealth record. He hasn't got it. He's going to have to settle for the silver medal, and that means another Commonwealth gold for David Morgan with one lift to spare. So commiseration then for the Canadian Serge Tremblay. This is Tremblay, and at 150 he just couldn't do it. He moved up 5 kilograms too much.
So gold medal number 6 for Morgan, and with that he equals Precious Mackenzie's record of golds at 4 successive games. The silver went to Tremblay of Canada, with Brown taking the bronze for Australia. Well, we can now move on to the second discipline of the competition, the clean and jerk.
Damien Brown of Australia comes in for his very first lift in the clean and jerk in the 76 kilogram class. That's the middleweight class. Brown finished in bronze medal position in the snatch, 175 kilograms on that bar. That's 385 3/4 pounds. A very wide split. The legs really had to work hard. He's got to stay still to get the red light from the referee. And we'll have to see whether the judges give him 3 whites, and they do indeed. And Damien Brown from here moves into gold medal position in the clean and jerk. Very fast, really whipped that up. That's a very good clean indeed. Now the jerk wasn't quite so good. Remember, it's a combination of getting the bar above the head and getting the split right, and then bringing the legs together. And you've got to stay completely still before the referee, the judges will allow you to put the bar down. But good stuff from Brown. So the bar has now stayed at 175 kilograms. Serge Tremblay, however, has opted to move up. Serge Tremblay from Canada has decided not to go for 175, which would have equaled the weight of Damien Brown, but because he's got a heavier body weight than Damien Brown, he's decided to push the weight up himself. And this, of course, is one of the great mysteries, if you like, of weightlifting. If lifters lift exactly the same weight, the person who's got the lower body weight and is the more successful. So Damien Brown from Australia has a little sip of water, which of course he's permitted to do, and gets a little advice from the coach. That wasn't a bad opening lift by Damien Brown, and the weight on the bar has now gone up to 177.5. Brown has declined to do that. It seems he's maybe going up to 180. So the third and final lift then, and this to put him into the lead, but there's still 2 lifters to come. 177.5 on the bar, and this is Serge Tremblay from Canada. 385 3/4 pounds on that bar. Tremblay has looked very good. His technique has just let him down. I was about to say it was first class, and that extra 5 kilograms, just a little bit too much. So a best lift in the clean and jerk of 172.5 for Serge Tremblay, and he will have to settle for bronze medal in the clean and jerk. And we're now down to 2 men. We're down to Australia's Damien Brown, and the man we have yet to see is, well, the mighty Welshman himself, the great David Morgan. And there he is. David Morgan, Lynn Roach, the senior Welsh coach, and Meriden John in overall charge of the Welsh Commonwealth Games team. And in comes David Morgan, triple gold medalist, gold in Brisbane, gold in Edinburgh, gold in Auckland, and already gold here in Victoria in the snatch, with a new Commonwealth record of 147.5 kilograms. There, the massive electronic scoreboard filling up with details about every single lift, good, bad, attempted, and failed. So David Morgan comes in 180 kilograms on the bar, and that's at nearly 400 pounds, 396 pounds. And Morgan going for a record equaling 4 golds overall. Oh my goodness. Well, that really will be a bit of a surprise. Perhaps a little bit of overconfidence, maybe coming in 5 kilos ahead of Brown just to try to blow the Australian away and put the pressure on him. And there's a certain amount of pressure now has been put back on David Morgan. Remember, this is the 2-part lift, and that looked all right. He looked pretty comfortable getting it to there. And he didn't get underneath that at all. So David Morgan really making life a little bit difficult for himself. Second attempt, the bar stays at 180 kilograms. And it's going to be a second attempt for David Morgan. Damien Brown, I think, has perhaps decided to go up a little bit higher. The electronic scoreboard tells us that David Morgan from Wales is going to come in for his second attempt. Just 2 men remaining. Bronze medal already decided. It's gone to Serge Tremblay from Canada with a best of 172.5. And gold and silver now between David Morgan and Serge Tremblay. In terms of the total, Morgan leads by 2.5 kilograms. So for overall gold, he's got that 2.5 kilograms to play with. But Morgan's going to come in once again, and Damien Brown must have decided to move up. Because had Brown gone for 180, then because it would be his first lift, he'd have to come in. So that tells the story of David Morgan's clean and jerk. He had a wonderful sequence in the snatch. He only had to lift twice to win the gold in the snatch and set a new Commonwealth record. He declined to push it up to 150 just to save himself. And there, I'm sure we'll expect David Morgan to improve. So David Morgan, for the second time of asking, comes in. There's that blue lifting platform, 4 meters by 4 meters. And the bar in the middle tells us that David Morgan has got 180 kilograms in front of us, 396 3/4 pounds. That's well over 28 stones. The grip just outside the legs. And this is a pressure lift for Morgan. He can't really afford to miss this one. Second time at 180 kilograms. That looks good. Oh, he's got to stay still. Well, he gave a few hearts a bit of a flutter, and he has stayed still. And what great strength, and Morgan gets it. And you can almost feel the sigh of relief coming from the Welsh camp down in the wing. So Morgan has moved into the lead. What a lift by Morgan. Now this part looked good. I wonder just how much more he has left. The Commonwealth record is 192.5. And it all started to wobble, and I think everybody thought he's going to drop it, and Morgan had other ideas, and a supreme effort to steady himself. Splendid lift. So Damien Brown to go into gold medal position in the clean and jerk. He's decided to play a little bit of cat and mouse with David Morgan, because he's moved up from 175 to 182.5 kilos. This to put him ahead of Morgan.
Big chest. Punch it. Big breast.
And he's slightly heavier in terms of body weight, and he's not going to do that. So David Morgan stays in gold medal position, and this man, Damon, with 175, stays in silver. And Morgan will be more than aware of that as Brown moves away. So it's going to be Brown again, and they'll have to wait for 2 minutes, and Morgan can afford to wait for 3 minutes before he takes his final lift. So the gamble that Brown chose to take perhaps has not paid off for him. He went from 175 to 182.5, having watched Morgan fail once with 180. But now Morgan has cleared 180, and he's in gold medal position, and he can sit back and watch the Canadian Serge Tremblay attempt 182.5 kilograms for his last lift. I should say Damien Brown from Australia. Serge Tremblay already in bronze position, adding a bronze to the silver he got in the snatch. So it's down to 2 men. Morgan of Wales, Brown of Australia. David Morgan waits. Damien Brown of Australia, who was 12th in the 1993 World Championships. David Morgan hasn't really been doing all that much international competing. in recent years, and people were rather surprised when he opted to move down to the 76 kilogram class, because his last series of golds came in Auckland, New Zealand at 82.5, and the nearest class to that is now 83. So David Morgan has moved down quite a bit in terms of body weight. But he looked so comfortable in the snatch, 147.5, a new Commonwealth record. And there's now about 50 seconds remaining for Damien Brown to take his third and final lift.
Come on, Brown.
And he gambled that because of his greater body weight, if he equaled David Morgan's lift of 180, then Morgan would get the gold and overall gold, because he's the lighter man. So Brown's gamble didn't work the first time, and he's got a second roll of the dice.
Get up! Get up! Big
He's
chest.
to work hard, 182.5 on that bar, 402.25 pounds. Oh, that's a good lift, and the pressure is now back on Morgan. Oh, Brown loves that. That is the lift that puts Australia's Damien Brown into the gold medal position. So David Morgan of Wales really has to produce the goods. This is little Damien Brown. He's shorter than David Morgan. He's a little bit heavier, and that's why he chose to go for the higher weight. He had no option but to go higher than Morgan. Failed the first time, and he used every single ounce of his considerable strength to get that bar above his head, and he's well pleased. So 182.5, and that's the gold medal lift in the snatch at the moment, or the clean and jerk I should say, the snatch having gone to David Morgan of Wales. So David Morgan has also opted for 182.5. And if he lifts this, he will get the gold, because it'll be exactly the same weight as Australia's Damien Brown. But David Morgan weighed in at 75.05 kilograms, Damien Brown at 75.30, so a quarter of a kilogram, the difference between them. Morgan needs this to make it a clean sweep of golds here in Victoria. A little bit of distraction, I don't know what's gone wrong. The clock has been stopped. There seems to have been a problem. The clock is stopped at 31 seconds. The clock has been stopped, and the Welsh officials, I think, somebody's complaining about something. I'm not quite sure what it is at this stage, and that really is very distracting for David Morgan. And David Morgan indeed has changed his mind. I don't believe this. Had he gone for 182.5 because of his body weight, he actually would have won it. So he's gone for, well, I wonder, have the Welsh miscalculated, or have we been misinformed about the weights of these lifters? Damien Brown is down as 75.30 kilograms. David Morgan is down as 75.05. So all Brown had to do, and Morgan has to do, was lift 182.5, and he's decided for some reason to do it in style. So he must be thinking perhaps in terms of the overall total. Well, this for a fourth successive Commonwealth Games title, and he hasn't done it. So Morgan finishes with 180, and he finishes in the silver medal position in the clean and jerk, and the gold medal in the clean and jerk goes to Australia's Damien Brown, Morgan in second, and the Canadian Serge Tremblay in third position. Well, Morgan's gamble just didn't quite work. So Morgan going for it as best he could. He failed, but he will get the gold for the overall total.
Well, confirmation of the result of the clean and jerk. Morgan misses out on gold on this occasion and has to settle for silver for the first time in a Commonwealth Games. Brown of Australia took the gold. But with the two disciplines combined, it meant that David Morgan collected another medal in the overall. The bronze went to Brown of the silver went to Brown of Australia, with Tremblay of Canada taking the bronze. But that win meant that it was time for Morgan to receive his 7th Commonwealth gold medal.
Gold medalist and Commonwealth champion, mesdames et messieurs, pour le total, le médaillé d'or et champion du Commonwealth, du pays de Galles from Wales, David Morgan.
Equaling the record of the great Precious Mackenzie is David Morgan from Wales. Gold in the snatch, silver in the clean and jerk, but most importantly of all, yet another gold medal goes round the neck of this mighty Welshman. It's his 4th overall Commonwealth Games title and his 4th overall Commonwealth Games total. He competed first in Brisbane as an 18-year-old, won gold in lightweight, then moved up to light heavyweight and won 2 successive golds, and now 4th at middleweight. Damien Brown from Australia had a great sequence in the clean and jerk and just pipped David Morgan for the gold and finished in overall silver position. The medal is presented by Mr. Norman Ozachuk from British Columbia, and the flowers as well.
And the bronze medalist, le médaillé de bronze from Canada, du Canada, Serge Tremblay.
A great round of applause for the man who won silver in the snatch and bronze in the clean and jerk, and overall bronze medal from Canada, Serge Tremblay. The Canadians have done pretty well, still looking for their first gold. But here, it's been gold all the way in the Commonwealth Games, as it has been since Brisbane in 1982 for the man who then was an 18-year-old from Wales. And David Morgan makes it 4 on the trot, and that equals the splendid record of the great Precious Mackenzie. And David Morgan, not for the first time, stands for the Welsh anthem. Brisbane, Auckland, Edinburgh, and now Victoria, British Columbia in Canada, and still at the top of the Commonwealth is the mighty Welshman, David Morgan.
And news tonight of further success for Wales in the men's rapid-fire pistol. David